Hello and welcome to the fifth grade, fifth 6 weeks preview. I'm Sonia Burrow and I'm the writing specialist here in HEB. I'm going to be walking you through your curriculum for the fifth 6 weeks. We're going to cover patterns of power. So we'll look at the TEKS that you're going to be covering there, your new unit, research-based argument essay, and the supports that you might need moving forward. Looking from the top to the bottom, the TEKS that you're going to cover in grammar are the following. 5.11 DVII, subordinating conjunctions. 5.11 DIII, collective nouns like the we, those types of words, groups. 5.11 DV, conjunctive adverbs. 5.11 DVIII, subordinating conjunctions, and 5.11 DX, italics, punctuation marks, quotation marks, and commas. That one's a pretty big one that you'll be covering in there. Now, as we have moved through the year and we're getting towards the end of the year, you've covered a lot of the grammar TEKS. You've covered them in depth with students. So as they move into their writing, at this point, you should be expecting them to utilize those grammar rules that you've been teaching and hanging those focus phrases on the wall consistently or fairly consistently, unless you're asking them to learn something brand new. So whenever they learn something new, they may deviate a little bit because they're concentrating maybe on a new sentence structure and forgetting about some of those grammar rules. So just remember, in patterns of power, you're going to have your notice day. As you develop lesson plans, make sure your questions help students move towards that focus phrase. So make sure you kind of have some thoughts in mind in case the students get sidetracked. You have some ways to look at that sentence that are going to help move them towards what you're focusing on. Compare. It's important that students see the grammar rule applied to multiple sentences with similar patterns. So make sure that you point out those things that make them similar, but also what makes them different. So students are seeing that sentence structure multiple times. On imitate, remember that you're going to create your own imitation sentence ahead of time, focusing on ways to advance the students' thinking. We want to make sure that we're not simplifying things for the students as we move forward, but try to challenge them a little bit with your imitation sentence, because that is an adult's writing. And then know that students may or may not meet that same level when they do their imitation sentences. But obviously we want to give them our thinking as we write that on the board for them. Why did we write it that way? What was our thought patterns? And then of course we have edit and apply. Most importantly, use a consistent method to help students apply their new learning in both the writing and in pop lessons. We need to make sure that students are using what they've been taught consistently to edit. Editor's eyes is great when you're asking them to edit their writing, to analyze those sentences, structures consistently, capitalization, punctuation, sounds right, spelling, commas, and apostrophes in that order, so that their writing is stronger and more consistent. So how are we going to use our writing curriculum? Just as a reminder, we're going to read our mini lessons ahead of time and prepare materials. Remember, mini lessons are not about mastery, but about showing students a method and letting them try it out. Don't stay on a single mini lesson for days, just keep moving. As you look through the unit, you're going to see lots of things that they're going to be taught, but again, they review those things over and over again. The cycle continues to support that. So if the first time you teach it, you're not seeing mastery for most of your students, that's okay. On the second round of you teaching that same skill, you should see more students mastering that skill. And of course, by the third time you cover in a unit, you should see the majority, if not all students, using that skill that you've taught. The second one, read the lessons bend at a time. So in our units, you have bends, and in this first one, the first bend is 7 lessons or sessions. So go ahead and read those. You don't have to, you can skim them, but read those at the same time. This gives you an overview of what you will be covering with students during the bend and how they work together. I think sometimes as teachers, when we begin a lesson, we think, oh, I need to cover this thing or this piece. I don't want to forget this, making our mini lessons maxi lessons instead. And it may come up the next day, or it may be in your mid-workshop teach. So it's really, really important as you are working through units of study that you read those lessons in advance, so that you know that although you want to cover something, it may be covered the next day or in your mid-workshop teach or at the end of the lesson. And that way your lesson stays within that 10 to 12 minute lesson time that is the ideal. The third thing, use your time wisely. In the 4-6 weeks, you have 29 days and 23 days of instructional material to cover. The fifth 6 weeks begins on March 1st. So you actually do have quite a bit of time. This was partly allotted to the fact that you usually would have a STAR test in April, and that is not happening this year because of COVID. So you have a little bit more wiggle room. So as you, and if you work with a partner, are looking through these lessons, if you see that there's something that you want to spend 2 days on or stretch out, you may have a little bit more give. But again, it is ideal for you to keep moving through them. So you may flag something where you say that might be something we want to extend a little bit by 1 day, but just remember pacing is important. And 4, you will be teaching specific strategies over the course of the year. When you look at this unit, you will probably see things that you have seen before. So as you teach them, make sure to hang up the anchor charts to help support students. Remember, these are silent teachers when you are working with other students, and remind the students of the things that you have already taught, that these strategies are coming back around. This is not the first time we have seen this strategy, boys and girls. Let's make sure we keep working with it, okay? Notice the process you are cycling through with students. So reminding students often that right now we're generating ideas, or today we're rehearsing, or we're drafting, or we're revising. And we know from Lucy Calkins that we do flash drafts so that they will spend the time revising. If they spend 3 days writing their flash draft, then they are less likely to revise it because they spent so long on it the first time. So we want them to flash draft those, because that allows them to say, I know it's not perfect the first time. I'm willing to go back and keep changing and fixing and rearranging. So making sure the students know, even if you put it on a little sticky note, that today's a draft day will help them understand where you're at in your writing process. And we know that the rehearsal part, that plan, is the active engagement that happens every day. So although in this cycle it says to rehearse once, we know that they're going to continue doing that every day after you do your mini lesson and we do active engagement. That's a rehearsal again, okay? And then of course, editing and publishing. So letting them know, where are we in that process? What are we working on? And letting the kids also know that they can go back and forth between those. They may go ahead and do a little editing one day and then go back and revise and then go back to editing. Those things happen, and that is perfectly acceptable. Okay, so we're gonna look at a couple little videos here. Your main piece that you're going to have the students start with in Bend 1 is for them to pick a side of an argument, since they're writing argumentative text, over if they like chocolate milk or white milk. And they can have their opinion, but what we're trying to teach them is a lot of different skills in this, on how to argue, how to have strong opinions, but also how to do it effectively. So there's 2 videos that you will have a day to watch, and 2 articles. So you'll want to figure out how that's going to work in your classroom. So we're going to watch part of this. I'm just going to show you the sugar overload one, because I think that's a pretty interesting one. And you may have your own opinions right now over what you would, oh, it just took me right back there. Which one you would want to pick, white milk or chocolate milk. So, all right, let me get you in here. I apologize, it just took me to the website. All right, so in your materials, it is in here, and it is also located in the curriculum. So we are going to watch this, that one, and let's see what they give us. It's not very long, as you can tell.
Well, Jamie Oliver's had another win. He's convinced schools in Los Angeles to stop serving flavoured milk. Some have more sugar than soft drink. This is the amount of sugar American children consume each week just by drinking flavoured milk.
The sugar is still coming and it ain't stopping.
It's an over-the-top display for an out-of-control problem. Oh my God! One small carton of flavoured milk contains almost 30 grams of sugar. That's more sugar than in a can of soft drink.
I really like the chocolate milk. The only time I get chocolate milk is when I go to school.
According to celebrity chef Jamie Oliver, that's the problem. He campaigned to have the sugary drinks scrapped from school menus. Next month, they'll be banned from all Los Angeles schools. Staff from Jamie's Ministry of Food believe it's a positive move.
It's as simple as that kids should be drinking plain milk, and that's what they need to be selling in schools.
Some Australian parents think schools here should follow suit.
Maybe freshly squeezed juices are a good idea instead of flavoured milk.
Obesity is a problem.
Queensland's health minister says he'll look into imposing a ban.
We pay a lot of attention to what Jamie Oliver does.
Some, though, believe the nutritional benefits of flavoured milk outweigh the harm of added sugar.
It seems a bit silly to me.
But the parents of children who no longer have a choice couldn't be happier.
They reach for chocolate milk more often. If you took them off, they'd reach for white milk.
White milk is good for you. It's got vitamin D. I don't know what that other kind of milk has in it.
Or how much harm it's causing. Chloe Baker, 10 News.
Okay. So as you can see, they give you a little bit of that. You're going to have the flavored milk video and then some articles to read. And I also included on this slide the how to write an argument, one of the pictures from your materials. So notice what it does. It says collect evidence that allows you to think through various sides of an argument. So we are not trying to do just one side, we need both. Rehearse, then plan your claim, and then have your evidence. And it's really an interesting way they do this because they want the students to write in both sides. They want them to acknowledge the other side, but then dispute it, okay? All right, so in the research-based argument essay, students will learn how to research and write argumentative pieces. Students will use all they know about writing and reading to create strong claims that are supported by evidence. So this is very similar to some other writing that they have done, but this time it is done in a little bit different way. So some of the skills, argumentative writers research their topic for information on both sides of the issue. So students will be doing some research for this unit, conduct research and provide supports to their claim, add quotes to strengthen their claim. So they just finished their literary essay unit where they had to quote from books. So they're going to use some of the skills they've already learned in this. Think about the audience and delivery. So they have to really think through who are they writing for. Argumentative writers strengthen their claim by including evidence supporting the opposite viewpoint and then offering a rebuttal. So that was the one that I was kind of talking about. So they are not allowed to just say their side. They also have to acknowledge the other side in this. How to make their writing appeal to an audience. So they have to really think about how they're going to get their audience invested. Students will set goals and read their pieces out loud. Okay, so those are some of the skills that you're going to be covering with your students in this. It's really fun. So bend one, they're going to do the chocolate milk, write persuasive letters over chocolate milk or white milk. Then they are doing persuasive essays over it. And then their last bend is persuasive essays on their own topic. So they can pick whatever topic they want once they have learned the skills. Your code word for the 6 weeks for me is boxer. Isn't he a cute puppy? So happy. All right, and making it work together, just remember that you have your patterns of power. In your 10-minute grammar lessons, you're exposing students to a focused phrase and examples of good writing, reinforcing the skills students need to know. And then during your mini lessons, you are providing students with a tip, strategy, or a tool that they will use during independent writing. Then during independent writing, students practice the new writing technique and get support from you as you conference with them. During conferencing, you're working with students looking for patterns that show that students are able to transfer what you're teaching to their own writing. And then through your evaluation and conferencing, you'll be able to determine if students are able to apply their new skills in both pop and mini lessons in their writing. You can use the data to determine next steps. All right, I hope that this helps you. If you want more information on the research-based argument unit that you'll be covering in the 5th 6 weeks, there will be a second video that is put into the class, the Google Classroom for you. It is an optional piece, but we do kind of delve into it a little bit more. We'll look at the checklist. We'll read through the welcome to the unit and kind of look at those bends a little bit more closely. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope that this helps you prepare for writing.